We teach gaming concepts in all of our high schools. If I put that gaming concepts class early on, I know that those kids are going to A, pay attention, and B, attentive at school, be more engaged. These kids are not only building the teamwork and all the aspects we wanted to, they're building situational awareness to understand, okay, I'm in this situation, I've not done this before. How am I going to strategize to do that? When you look at kids today and you look at these environments, a lot of these kids we're reaching that we've never had before. There's a lot of desire to be in that class.
You know, everything that everybody talks about all the time, and then the law and management piece, and then emerging fields and careers. You have to start thinking about careers that are going after gamers. So, like the medical field, when it comes down to surgeons, they use controllers. Air traffic control is another industry that's looking for gamers. Also, because Southern University sits on the Mississippi River, I tell people all the time, even our steamboat captains and our barge captains that make over six figures, they look for skill sets that gamers have. Eye hand coordination, and things that we use daily to play games with.
Yeah.
Well, kind of jumping on board with that, Bubba, I wanted to ask you, your background is sports. You were into traditional sports, I should say, not that. So
as we call it now,
well,
yeah.
Yes, traditional sports. And so I think young people and really older people also, they're often told to pursue their passion, but it's hard to envision, how a hobby can turn into a career. So are there signs that people can look forward to, like tell when a hobby can turn into something? Or do you just have to jump? Because I know esports was a kind of a hobby for you, and then you married that with traditional sports, and now I mean you're one of the kings of esports. So how does that happen? Because I know a lot of young, yeah, I know a lot of young people would love to follow that trajectory.
Yes, I would say because I'm an event nerd and I organize 5,000 person marathons and 20,000 person flag football leagues. Like that's fun for me. Events are fun. It was that kind of crossover that I think you're kind of getting at was fun for me to marry because especially my first event in Kansas City that Mike Russell came to and Mason came to, and Ramsey helped me out organize was an event with 800 people playing Fortnite and Overwatch and Smash and Street Fighter. And one of the tables was the High School Esports League at the vendor booths. But I was having to translate kind of that world in tourism to a bunch of gamers who just knew how to put computers together and didn't know customer service and didn't know marketing all that well when it came to the event. So I had to learn their side of why do I need internet and power a certain way, and to have to relay that to the people at the convention center because they were like, why do you need so much power? It's just a bunch of computers. We have 100 booths in here typically at a bridal show. So why is it such a big deal? Why do you need so much internet? So yeah, it was fun for me to come from a different side of events and sports and bring over some of that stuff that I think a lot of people I've noticed in the esports space have come from different places, especially 2017 through 2020, where a lot of people from different industries coming into the space and bringing the talent, which is what we needed. I don't really say that's probably early on, but that was early on for a lot of us. And I know it goes back to 2009, 2012, but that crossover is really, really important. And when it comes to careers, especially the careers that are available in the gaming space, we have plenty of data for you. If you need that data, if you have questions or you want links, we have that. Even Connor's book I put in the chat here of 100 jobs in esports. Like this is a good tool for you to use to find tons of different careers, software and tech and head of sales and business operations. Like there's a lot of jobs out there that aren't just the gamer.
Well, and Chris, kind of piggybacking on that now, Let's jump into, I know we have a lot of, this gets replayed a lot. Students will be looking for careers in esports, and college students, high school students, they're really looking toward this. How have collegiate esports programs and scholarships impacted the landscape of higher ed? And what opportunities do they provide for students interested in both the academics and esports?
That's a great question. So I'm gonna use a few examples. We just here at Southern, we just got a new engineering and science department dean, and when he came in to see the esports space, um, he was inspired, and so on the spot he came up with, okay, if we could find a student that has a 25 on the ACT or a 3.0 that's already on campus and wants to be a part of esports, I'll give them tuition free. And so that's the type of academic and esports mergers you're starting to see. And then along with like broadcasting, because we do broadcast out, all those different skill sets that everybody's talked about since we started, the journalism piece, the shoutcasting piece, it's not just about the gaming anymore. We need the whole full ecosystem, not only in collegiate but professional too, and high school. And I'm starting to like what middle school and high schools are doing as far as doing full productions like Bubba just spoke about. That way they get to hone in on those skills real early and get to develop. So by about the time they get to collegiate, we're able to offer them a scholarship, not only just to play, but to pretty much support their said skill set that transfers over into other careers and other industries.
Right. Alex, you're muted. And while you're unmuting, I do want to say, Alex and I have a list of questions that we have that are common questions that students and people ask us, but please feel free to put questions in the chat also.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christy. Yeah, like so many of the things that in esports transcend esports, but they bleed into other areas, like you were talking about, journalism and broadcast and all of those things, because, when you're talking about content creation, some of the best parts of esports, other than the game, is the content that comes out of it, and the narratives and the videos that come out around that. And they need a whole team of people to be able to do that. So, Bubba, I'm going to ask you, what coursework or what fields of study could aid a student in getting a job in the esports field that are more traditional?
Well, sports management, sports management and business is actually a pretty good one. Although I'm going to go teach at a school of esports, which is great, and the focus will be there. The past 15 years, the past 30 years, we've had game design simply all over in different schools and tech schools and tech schools like that, after school, whatever. But the idea of esports in the collegiate space or as a course or as a degree is very new in the past 10 years, and it's only gotten bigger. But luckily, a lot of schools are realizing that instead of just slapping an E on a communication course and calling it esports communication, those things are going by the wayside, luckily. And I think like computer science, IT, broadcasting, and journalism and production, media, those kind of degrees out there are great, because my degree is recreation. So, I could work on a cruise ship or I could work at an esports event. So it's nice, but I think those kind of traditional paths for anything alongside, like Aziza said, like lawyers, everything, there's opportunities within esports. And I always will say of Nico Basome's chart, you just take out esports in the middle and put NBA. It's the same jobs all over that the NBA would have, or let's say the WNBA. Yeah, right now, because it's so hot right now.
That's right.
Well,
And it will continue.
Yeah.
But
And then too, to piggyback off of Bubba, we can't have Aziza on here and not highlight entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
That's a big one.
You must be on my sheet, to Chris, because that's what I was getting ready. Exactly. And I was going to talk to you about, being, we talk about having specific career paths or degrees, right? We have our fields of study, but a lot of times some of the best esports people are coming out like, Aziza here with entrepreneurship, right? Where you don't necessarily have to have a specific degree. And Aziza, I need to look in your background a little bit more, but you might have a art degree or something like that, but it just depends on what your passion is, right? And what you can make work for your entrepreneurial ideas. So as somebody who's built a successful business, go
Actually,
ahead.
I just want to say what my degree is. My degree is actually computer engineering technology, and
Go.
I go and say my muggle struggle is actually that I'm a design engineer for the power company in New York. So like I do that
Mhm.
while I have a business in esports.
That's awesome. That's awesome because so many things are, that the amount of, I can't even imagine the amount of work that you have to do to do your power systems engineering design, but also to run a successful company on the side for esports must be completely incredibly demanding. So the skills and qualifications for that, and looking people just maybe for your own company, what kind of skills and qualifications are you looking for if you were to hire somebody that's looking to work with you at your esports company, Dynamic?
So currently, I'm looking for more creatives. So like basically more people that could have abilities to stream and abilities to like, and also marketing degrees. And
Oh, you hit mute.
oh, sorry,
There.
I have a lot of people who are IT professionals who are pro gamers. So um, like my Street Fighter team and my MK team, like especially Gur, is like he's working at the NFL as an IT professional. So like I kind of don't look into like people who are traditionally in the field of anything, because esports definitely is such a small microcosm that anybody can be in it no matter what type of field that they're in. It's just that usually we use the skill sets from esports, our organizational skills, our technological skills, our production skills, our marketing skills, to build upon future careers. So I usually look at people who are really structured, dedicated, understand organizational skills and everything like that. So, and then later on, they build to what they really want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we see a lot of that. Go ahead.
Well, Aziza, on that, is there anything that, when you're looking to hire, because you are actively hiring, is there something consistent that's missing that you wish was there that you're not maybe seeing in some of your applicants?
So it's literally a thing with gaming whatsoever is the understanding of social media and how to connect with other people and having marketing communication skills. That's not something that is built into the ecosystem at all when it comes to like any type of work. So it's really getting strong in that would definitely help the esports ecosystem with marketing and communications and growing the scene, because you have to remember esports is small. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because as a high school English teacher, former high school English teacher,
Yes.
I have thought multiple times that should be, part of the class. That needs to be rewritten into standards, into state standards or national standards, because I don't know of a company that does not have some type of social media manager, or should have some
Should
type
have.
of social media manager. And there's just not that person necessarily. There's a stereotype of that person, but generally the people that are really, really good at it are 17, 18, 19-year-old girls. And
Yes.
the stereotype, and they don't always have the maturity that is needed to do that.
Yes. And also they don't have the ability to actually negotiate on activations when it comes to like their worth. So like a lot of people when they come into the field, they'll take anything and then don't understand that they're pretty much actually giving the company like thousands, like hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars in sales that they were just paid like $100 to $500 to do, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, in some of those things, when we're talking about social media and, knowing what you're wanting and employers missing skills, I think a lot is to be said about the lack of soft skills that students are sometimes coming out with. And I know that gaming can increase people's awareness and increase the ability for students to have soft skills. Chris, what are your thoughts or your interactions with esports and cultivating soft skills with students?
Um, I know I'm about to sound like an old parent, but that's soft skills should start at home. And then as educators, I feel like we should reimburse, and I mean reinforce, not reimburse, but reinforce those soft skills. You know, as far as like culture at an esports program, when you're dealing with like in the high school, middle school, or collegiate, it can make or break a team. If you don't have good communication skills, if you don't have good leadership skills, um, especially in some of your, well, in all your team-based games, you need that. You need that type of leadership and that type of dedication. I always say treat others the way you would want to be treated. Um, and then two, just let's give this example. If you had maybe a Fortnite team and your best Fortnite player had a big attitude problem or thought they were bigger than life, right? That affects the team in so many ways because when you're doing communications in game and outside of game, that person is going to dominate. And so you have to be real careful who you put in student leadership positions, who you give responsibilities to, because it can be a cancer in your program. And then the other side of that is it can also dictate if you get a scholarship or if you don't get a scholarship, or if you get an internship, volunteer opportunity. Um, but you're looking for somebody that really has great public speaking skills, that knows how to present, that knows what the brand is. If you're thinking about professional, even if you're thinking about a school brand, like you're representing the organization at that standpoint. And so professionalism is always a great point. But you're looking at those soft skill sets to pretty much, like I said, create a culture that you can cultivate into a winning program, and not necessarily, when I say winning, not necessarily per game or winning a championship, but fostering an environment where everybody can grow and learn from each other is really important.
And Bubba, we've talked now about, technical skills, soft skills. Are there any specific certifications or qualifications that can help students, stand out when they're applying for jobs?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to project program management. Is a really if you have a local community college that has your project management certification, that's a really good need. That's a big need for esports, because like I talked about earlier, like just because somebody can put together computers doesn't mean they know customer service or how to manage people. And that's a grassroots. Esports is grassroots. So it's great, and it's better that it's 50 people in an event space running a tournament, because that's what esports is. These big, large events that we go to, like the one I'm in Texas next week, yeah, there's 5,000 people there and 100 people doing different jobs, but that's a lot of people managing their roles. And so the project management certification, I would say, is really a big deal, and it's $600 maybe sometimes you can save up for a certification at your community college. Esports, when it comes to coaching, there's also, I mean, this is the kind of reason why Connor and I put together a video for coaches and a certification for coaches on our website for the foundation. Was there wasn't something out there for esport sponsors and coaches that was different from the training they would get as a football coach or a basketball coach or after school theater production teacher. And those certifications, they really weren't there because they weren't even getting like how to manage kids after school or rides or, all sorts of other issues. They get plenty of bully training and our Alice training, but they didn't have a lot of stuff for teachers and educators that was like, how do you run practice? What is Discord for?
Right.
All that stuff. That's like a big deal in esports, and people didn't know what to do, where to go. So I think those certifications are big, as well as digital marketing certifications are important. The there's there's a few certifications out there, and I know some of us have seen the ones that are just kind of thrown up on the wall because there isn't anything there, and that's the whole reason we created ours, because there's nothing out there and no accrediting body. So we just said, let's become the accrediting body and get experts together and create certifications. So, but project management, I think, is huge. Marketing certifications. Go to as many seminars. If you're doing marketing or media, I loved going to webinars or getting on webinars or going to seminars where there's going to be one every month about the new trends of what's happening on Instagram and TikTok. So just watch those and learn those if you're going to be in the social media or media space, because it's continually changing. And the world of esports luckily lives on Twitter and LinkedIn. So we just have to know how to manage those two social media powers right now when it comes to marketing to and for esports.
I'd like to go to a question from Fabian. Aziza, I'd like to start with you on this. This is a question for everyone, and I think it's especially relevant considering the different spaces that you all come from. Fabian asks, what advice do you recommend for freelancers looking to squad up? Where would I go to network with people seasoned in esports? Aziza, what are your thoughts in New York, America?
So one of the biggest things that I've done is going to different esports meetings, and there's meetups all over the place. You can definitely go and talk to them. Going to tournaments itself, like if you prefer a certain game, understand where the tournament circuits are, so you can actually go and see those tournaments, how those tournaments are run. You can talk to the production team, you talk to anybody. It's easy to approach from the FG, from the fighting game community. Anywhere, like, go to your LAN centers and stuff like that to find seasoned esports people. One of the other places that I network in, because I go do a lot of non-endemics, just to broaden my audience, I go to conventions and I go to different places where people meet up. I go to PAX all the time. I go to GDC. I go to different places to actually meet other people. You don't know who's in the esports scene until you actually go out and physically meet them. There are like discords and stuff like that where you can there's actual like discords for esports production discords that I'm into, where I get to meet other people from different scenes and everything like that. It's basically is a lot of footwork that you have to do, but definitely the first thing I say, go to your local meetups, go to your local scenes, go to your local LAN centers, start talking from there. You'll get to meet people who are part of these different esports scenes that you can actually meet and talk to and network. I hope that answers the question.
I think
Yeah.
definitely. Chris, what you're I see you at a lot of conventions. Are there any in particular that you would suggest? Aziza mentioned PAX.
Yeah, PAX is a big one. ISTE is another one for like educators in esports. DreamHack is another one. Bubba, help me out. So many.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to Infocom. It's not really, it's becoming the one for audiovisual that's needed now because there's a lot of people in that space. It's in June. And yes,
Yeah.
DreamHack,
I
PAX.
mean, you always go to to some conferences across seas too, if you can afford them. But yeah, it's so many. And then piggybacking on what everybody's setting a webinar using your social media, Discord,
Hmm.
LinkedIn, and X. You can't go wrong with those three as far as esports community.
Yeah, because the groups are so strong on there, you can join so many different types of groups and subreddits and all kinds of stuff like that for esports. There's definitely going to be somebody there to help you out to get you where you need to go. Go ahead, Christy.
Alex, just before we move on from this, Sophia asked, and I think it's very relevant, if we do attend one of these gaming events, what are steps you recommend to optimize our time there? What a great question is that. You
Well,
can go to
Sophia-
these things, but now what do I do once I get there?
Sophia did some good marketing, or I think Sophia actually reached out to me and she did some excellent networking. She's like, hey, can you connect me with anybody before I get to, I think it was GDC is where you were going, Sophia, but the networking and getting warm introductions to people that are going to be there was a really, really solid idea. So you already know this answer, Sophia, but thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, and then I'll piggyback off of that and say, pull up the schedule and make sure you're attending, sessions that you need information from, and then in between those sessions, follow up with those leads that you got from Bubba. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, because there's a lot of information can be had in the halls in between the sessions for sure.
Well, and there's an
Also,
expectation. Oh, go ahead,
Oh, yeah.
Aziza, please.
Also, I recommend if you go to definitely go to PAX or you're going to DreamHack or other conventions or stuff like that, make sure that you have a professional pass or a media pass, because that gets you into places really quickly, and also you'll be able to talk to people on a different level, and they're already assuming that they can actually have a professional relationship with you automatically with those badges.
And Alex, I like what you said about, in between sessions, because as a speaker, I think there is I expect to be asked questions. I'm very approachable. I think I feel like I'm approachable anyway, as are the rest of the panelists, but there's an expectation that I'm going to be, that's why I'm there, is to answer questions. And I think that's great advice, is to make sure and connect with the speakers before and after their speaking sessions.
Yeah.
And after events too, like the mixers. Those are really important too.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. If you can get to one of the after parties, that's for sure. That's where a lot of professional networking happens, and a lot of the big companies will do them. And you just gotta either go by their booth and get on a list, and it's super simple to get connected in with, somebody like CDW or HP or Dell or Intel or something like that. So Chris, and we're kind of all talking, the sphere that we're talking about right now is just how we get into this and experiences and networking. But, what are some valuable experiences you see people doing in esports to gain experience, to get something like this, something like an internship? What are you seeing that's available out there for people, or what do you employ with your position for students and young professionals to utilize?
Yeah, hop in, get active, show up. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to show up too. I think the generation that we service now, they're afraid to just show up because they don't know what they're gonna run into or expect out of the room. And we're still a small community, like Aziza said, so we're all about helping each other and helping it grow. I think too, I feel like I'm getting old now because I've been in this thing for a while now, and I think Bubba will agree. We're starting to see that first and second set of students that are taking roles now. It's kind of scary, but it's also good to see that once they were a part of the program, and now their grad students are even taking director roles, and so that's it's so refreshing to see that and to see them push it forward and also gravitate to the next group of students of the next generation of students too.
Alyssa Duran's an example of that. She was interim, well, before she was interim director at where Joey was, Shenandoah. Yeah. Before that, she was also a esports coach at another organization, and then now she's the director at Shenandoah. So
Yep.
yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, that's great. Like, and I think that you can't stress enough, like getting out of your comfort zone. If it's something you want, like you need to go get it, and you need to, present yourself and, brand yourself. And in this day and age, you have to have your own brand. And especially if you're trying to break into something, then I think that's important because people are, as soon as somebody hears your name, they're going to Google you or they're going to look you up on socials or something like that. And you having a positive image about yourself, like that you want to be in this space or that you're passionate about it, I think that speaks volumes to your commitment to something. So, Aziza, how have you seen it? I know that, as somebody who's started their own company here, your own esports team, right? How important has branding been for getting yourself out there and for making yourself recognizable?
So branding's really important because the thing is that like it's easier to communicate to somebody who you are and what you're all about if you have a brand, if like you have to have like a 3 sentence pitch every time you talk to somebody like I was said, like, and be able to communicate that stuff to other people. Like I have my symbols, my goals, my like we're creating comic books too when it comes to the gamers to move our like media pitch a little bit further for everybody else. Um but one of the things is that like um uh that question kind of got me a little bit because the thing is that it's such a interesting thing that we like I literally just pitched a meme that we did. Like I had an artist draw something about one of the players with his head on a character so that we push that further so that even the game could actually put his image inside the game if they wanted to. Like there's so much stuff what you actually have to think about when it comes to your branding, when it comes to your image, because that's how somebody who's like not part of gaming or a brand that's not part of gaming can actually see themselves fitting within your image. So it's really it's complex but not complex at the same time because of the fact that like it's literally understanding to communicate yourself to other people,
Like, and it's almost a dichotomy because it's complex, but it has to be very simple.
Simple,
Because
yes.
I want to go back to what you said about the 3-minute pitch.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's all you have. And sometimes
Yes.
that's all you need. If you're good, that's all you need.
Yes.
So I think that is brilliant. I would like to shift gears just a little bit because I'm being mindful of time and we have so much to ask and we're getting questions in. I just want to point out in the chat, Rodney is asking, is there a site listing resources or conference dates for new coaches to esports? So a new coach, I know you guys are coaches. So if you have a site or something, if you want to dump that in there, just putting that out there.
I think just throwing Discords. I think Discords we may have because
okay.
we don't do a good job at doing what he's asking.
No.
I agree. And so, but I'm gonna go ahead. Go ahead, Mary.
Me and Bubba are gonna build it and get rich.
There you go.
Haven't we said that like 10 times about 10 different things?
Yeah.
We're doing
there's
great.
specific, there's like there's things for educators. I mean, I think there's really good lists for educators, but I
Right.
think, like you said, esports coaching, it's still, pretty new that it's so much knowledge, institutional knowledge that each of you have that hasn't been shared yet. But I'm going to have us switch gears a little bit. And Chris, I'm going to ask you, let's talk about some of the challenges and some of the opportunities. What are some of the common challenges that individuals face when pursuing a career in esports? And then, how can they overcome these challenges? What should people expect? They're excited, but what are they going to run up against?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting industry. Everybody loves the game. Over 90% of us do. But you're probably gonna have to take some volunteer jobs, and you might not get paid right away. Just to get some of the knowledge and some of the experience that we have on this panel, and that's okay. we have to learn how to play the long game, and we have to master that and know your value and know your worth when it's time to actually get paid in this career. And so I think everybody on this call has volunteered or did some stuff that we didn't get paid for at some point. And so I think that's the biggest thing. I think too, it's you might gain some skill sets that bleed over into other careers, and you necessarily might not work in esports full time, but that's okay. As long as you able to put food on your table and pay some bills, you should be all right with that. But you know, it's a fast growing industry. Um, it's a small community, so everybody works with each other. Like I said before, but it's a long uh, haul. It's not anything that's gratifying like a easy like a McDonald's type of situation at all. But it's a labor of love for sure. And I think as long as you network, as long as you put out quality work, it'll be a great career for you. Just like any other career industry too.
That you're passionate about, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bubba, I'm a huge advocate of mental health and burnout and all of those things. So how can someone proactively address issues like burnout and mental health concerns when navigating not just the competitive, but just the demanding nature of the esports industry as a whole? Because it's competitive, it's fast moving, things are constantly changing.
Well, yeah, it was good. I was actually on a call with Shay from Cope yesterday, which we all know, and we were talking about balance for our own kids and how to use tools. Even with my own three little boys, this is probably the 15th iteration of some form of chart that got laminated on our fridge about game time and reading and cleaning and whatnot. But this one's working. We think we've gone further than any others, and so that balance of um, getting our kids to maintain time management with their gameplay as well as their practice, especially when it came to like students who are going to be professionally playing. I can throw out terms like work-life balance is a term we almost are desensitized to now because we've overused it so much. And I think sadly, mental health will be that same term we overuse in 15 years that we're going to replace with something else. But really, burnout, these 15-year-old students who actually pro players who are retired at 18, 19 because they have just practiced way, way too much. I'm trying to think of his name right now. It starts with an S, but he is a pro player who's very outspoken, who's now retired because of burnout. And he talks a lot about balance when it comes to playing in the professional space. But not only we talk about mental health, we talk about burnout, we talk about work-life balance, we're talking about professional support, mental health support, and conversations and discords and community are super, super important, as well as regular physical activity for all of us gamers to go touch grass. I like to play basketball. That's the grass I touch, and it's on a court, but it's important. And if you have an Apple Watch every day, it tells me do mindfulness exercises and breathe for 10 seconds and then breathe it out. Like these are all just things we've all been told by every Instagram reel we've ever watched or any doctor that's told us, but we live in the now and we live in the what's next on our calendar. So I think we all just need to sigh a little bit and take a deep breath sometimes.
Yeah. And be mindful and be reminded, mindful and reminded.
Yep.
I want to talk a little bit about another aspect of healthy gaming and healthy esports. And I love that this is the panel because I know you are all advocates, and I've been on the receiving side of really all three of you, I'm going to say. Let's talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion impacting the growth and sustainability of the esports industry and what can be done to promote greater diversity and representation, whether that be gender, race, sexual orientation. I think sometimes well, not sometimes, esports gets a bad rap, maybe probably because sometimes it is a bad rap. And so let's talk a little bit about that. What can be done? What do you see being done? This can go 1,000 different directions, and I'd like to get insight from all three of you. Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, I'll go into it, because the thing is that the biggest thing that we have to do for diversity and inclusion is actually creating the space for diversity and inclusion to be in the mix. Like basically, I me and a few other women decided to make the Queen of the Hill series. We just retired it because we decided to create different spaces for for women, non-binary, and femme gamers to join in, and we didn't want to put it underneath one banner. But the truth of the matter is that we got fed up of on people on Twitter, when Twitter was Twitter, just randomly going and saying, "Hey, are there women in fighting games?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're here, but what are you like?" And it's always from somebody that never went to a space, like they never went to a major, they never went to a regional, they never went to a space where women would be at. So we decided to make tournament series just to highlight um women and non-binary and femme gamers in the space, and grow that so that women more people knew that this existed. Like, we
Mhm.
are in here, you know. You randomly would see somebody on stream, but not as much, so we decided to create that. And that's the biggest thing, is basically creating a space for anyone to be seen, so that other people know that they exist and that they can actually join in. That's pretty much missing from any type of space. Like, we create space, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, how do we do this for people? Like, just open it up, so, and show that you exist. Because that's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest problems with esports is that gamers don't even know that esports exists.
Mhm.
People are playing the game that, people are playing Street Fighter and don't know that there's Street Fighter League. They don't know.
Yes.
So, like, literally just communicating that this exists, create a space for it, amplify it, and that's how diversity inclusion actually happens.
Mhm. Chris, Bubba,
I just want to
always
say,
have it. You both have a good perspective, different
I,
perspectives.
I just want to say, put on a t-shirt. Gamers don't even know about esports. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Aziza, I
That's
agree with that. And
that's
one
what
of
I'm gonna add.
our other
Please, just
panelists,
so many
Stephanie,
times I've been in conversations, and
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, well, or a dev too. Like, when I go to PAX, I talk to devs, and they were like, I want to do esports. And I'm like, okay, do you have a lobby system? And they're like, oh, I need that. And like, literally the communication of esports between gamers, devs, and esports people do not connect. And that needs to happen. So, like,
good.
that t-shirt does have to, Bubble, you should make that t-shirt.
Well, I definitely shouldn't be the person talking about diversity with this really white beard, unless it's about age.
Yeah.
That'll be
Chris,
your
do you
angle,
add?
Bubba.
I kind of knew Bubba was gonna pass the baton, and he knows this. We have private conversations all the time about this, and I think Aziza is right. Like, the education needs to happen first before we go any further. Um, and that's a real major key in that. But even the community that we do have, I think it's a major oversight that happens all the time, especially with like gamers of color, female gamers as well. As we're not included. We're not thought about when they form committees. I go on a limb and say I'm tired of being the token black guy that always gets nominated for awards, because it's so many people out here doing so much good work that gets overshadowed because we get stuck in our little community. I know everybody's not able to travel like I do. Chrissy kind of hinted at me traveling to different events. but we have to do something. We have to change something up. I don't know what we can do to better the community, but I think the first step is education. And I think we need education across the board, not only from a dev, gamer, esports perspective, but from different generations and different non-endemic brands and endemic brands as well. I don't think they necessarily know what this community is and what this ecosystem can do. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, as somebody that saw esports kind of start in my high school and taught it, I can see where that education piece would be super valuable, because not only do we know that gaming kind of envelops all of students, we know that every student games in one form or another, but when you have a safe place for them all to come, then they can grow in that. And, you know, they can feel that they are successful and that they can be part of a community and they can be part of a thing. Because a lot of times I taught shop for a long time, and I'd have girls out in the hallway and they'd say, "Oh, that thing that you made was really cool. I wish I could do that." And I'd be like, "Why can't you do that?" Well, I don't know. It's shop's not for girls is what I hear a lot. And it's like, no, shop's for everybody. Shop's for everybody. So, you know, and I think esports is even more, you know, even more able to traverse that gap between, you know, you want to do it and you do it. And I think that so many kids can find comfort and security under esports at the middle school, high school level, so that they can be successful in college and in a professional manner. That is where that education piece needs to come in.
Well, we're really seeing that in the middle schools curriculum wise, and I think it's transferring to team, that middle school girl, a lot of schools, I don't want to just blanket, but a lot of middle school girls, they don't have that girls don't game. Of course they do, you know, and I love to see that, where the teams are about 50-50 in the middle schools. Now, whether that will, you know, transcend and continue into high school, it remains to be seen. But it is fun to see in the middle schools that a lot of middle school girls, they don't even really think about it. So that's fun. Well, we have about 5 minutes left. I want to get final closing thoughts. And we also have a question from Logan that I want to make sure that we get to. Logan says, "I've been struggling with all of the new esports centered degrees." We talked about this earlier, and things that have been coming out. Any advice on whether it would be worth going to grad school to get that formal education, or should I pivot and promote my previous decade or so of professional experience instead? He highlights that with dollar signs.
What's his previous experience?
Yeah. What's
I
your
would,
experience?
and what's your previous degree? I would like to know, Logan, also your previous
Yeah.
degree, previous experience
Yeah,
and
previous
previous
experience.
degree.
And I think let's just say if you do have previous experience in events or esports, you're at the same level that 90% of us are at. Was there weren't degrees. Now there are degrees, and there's opportunities for people to learn from all of us who were the
Oh,
experts.
Bubba. Oh, he's right in our lane. No, you don't need to go. No,
Aziza,
Graphic design
don't,
communications.
don't go
Aziza, would
get
you
the
like him to
esports
send you a
degree.
resume?
Yeah, like what you call it, like you wouldn't, like, this is the biggest thing about you're part of the requirements for a lot of esports teams right now, because they need more people in marketing and more communications to happen. Like you need we need you because
Yeah.
most of it has been, we haven't been communicating to audiences enough to actually to expand. So we definitely need graphics design and communications. Like I work with a manga studio to do my graphic design right now.
Logan, I feel like they're saying jump. Just
Yeah,
jump.
jump.
Let's go.
And Logan, I'll say, I think that, you know, sometimes if you're trying to break into esports, you know, those of us that are in here, sometimes we get caught in our own bubble. And when we're looking for somebody from the outside, we don't always see their value if it's not in an esports lens, right? There's been people that I've, you know, that are very into esports, and they're like, if it's not RGB and black and aggressive, then that's not what we want, right? or something like that, when it's like, oh, I've been a graphic designer for 25 years. I helped build Adobe Photoshop. I'm very qualified, and like, well, it's not RGB. And so, I think that having a portfolio just to show what you can do is super important, because we've had conversations with people that are from the outside of esports, and they don't understand esports, and they have years and years, decades of experience, and they need education coming in. And anybody can be retrained on what you need to do, especially I think, when it comes to content creation, right? And I think that if you have a portfolio and if you have things that you can, show people on how good you are with graphic design and communication, that's all you need. And the job will come for sure.
So in the closing little bit here, I want to talk about just let's see the vision in the Magic 8 Ball. What are some emerging trends that you guys are seeing, or technologies? I know, AI is the obvious go-to. What are some things that you guys believe will significantly impact the esports industry in the near future? What should people be watching out for? Chris, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I would throw the gauntlet at virtual reality, but I think we need some more time to catch up with infrastructure. So I'm gonna pivot and go to mobile gaming. We're visiting the continent of Africa last year, going back this year and realizing, everybody has a cell phone, and we have more mobile gamers than anything. I think, especially like with Activision Blizzard doing Call of Duty Mobile now, you got PUBG Mobile, you have so many great games on mobile devices now. I think just some of the arenas and some of the collegiate programs, it's just a matter of time before they catch up and start integrating mobile games into tournaments, and some of your tournament organizers start supporting mobile games. And I think you're going to see prize pools go berserk because everybody has that technology in their hand. It's not like a console or a PC where, you have to pay a couple $100s for, because now we have smartphones on payment plans, which is crazy to me, but it's amazing to see. But I think that's going to be the new thing right before we get into virtual reality and mixed reality
A bridge.
from an esports lens here.
Okay. Aziza?
It's definitely mobile gaming. That is going to be the next wave, because more if you go to Latin America is huge there too. And of course Africa, and also India. Mobile gaming has been doing mobile gaming esports more and more. Not everybody can afford a console, not everybody can afford a computer. So like upscaling the technology itself is not is pretty much infeasible right now. And the infrastructure is kind of like I talk about infrastructure a lot when it comes to communications, because of the fact that like even New York, the communications for to actually game is not there in different neighborhoods in New York City. Um, and then one emerging trend, which I really, really wanted to actually happen, is physical and occupational therapy. Getting people into that more often would definitely help out esports in the long run, and also basically business in the long run.
Yes. That's something that transcends.
That's transcends. Yes.
You said at your computers.
You sit on our computers all day. All of us do it, and having people into that industry would definitely help in the future.
Yeah. And Bubba, round us out.
Yes, mobile gaming is by far definitely there. We spent last 2-3 years talking about VR, AR, metaverse, and mobile gaming is half of the gaming industry. It's a 60 to 80 billion dollars worldwide. So why not? And yes, the people we work with overseas, and Chris works with Africa, and then we all different places. It's hugely important to put mobile game in the front. And even the Esports World Cup that's happening, in which they finally came up with dates. It was June or July through September. That's happening in Riyadh. That's going to be a lot of mobile gaming, a lot of mobile gaming crossplay, and so it's definitely something that is very, very prevalent. And yes, virtuality is going to be the big thing, but I think we're going to have a combination mobile virtuality type world here soon anyway. So
Absolutely. We'll all be walking around with our Vision Pros on. I just want to thank everybody for being on this panel tonight, because this, I think, just going by the chat and the questions we've had, well, as long as all the content that we've had, shared, all the expertise and all of the experience that you guys have, I think has really rounded out, how careers in esports work. Without necessarily telling everybody what our day-to-days are, right? It's just a job, right? So getting there is the battle, I think, is what people are trying to get to. And how do you get into this very exciting, very, wide-ranging, super awesome place? And that's where people are stuck at, because there's so many avenues to get there, whether you go through an actual program like Bubba's going to be working through, or you have been a lawyer for 20 years and you want to start doing esports law, right? You want to come back in and do that. So I think that people are confused on how you get there. And I think that this panel has really helped with what those avenues are, what opportunities there are, how we can connect with each other. And so I really appreciate everybody on here for the great questions, for the great information. And so thanks again to everybody out there, and to our panel. So much thanks to you guys. I know that you guys are super busy, and always appreciate you. This will be not live. This will be up on our YouTube channel later this week. So Gaming Concepts on YouTube, like and subscribe there. Appreciate it. I know that everyone else here has some socials, and they've got things that they'd like to promote. So you'll get a follow-up email from us. And if the panelists want to include some information, I will include that on how to get a hold of them in my follow-up email to all of you guys out here who are with us live. So again, thanks so much. We appreciate everybody out there. You guys have a great night, and thanks for coming.